Resourceful Designer, episode 209. Pivot your design business to survive.
Welcome to the Resourceful Designer podcast, offering solutions to streamline your graphic and web design business so you can get back to designing. And now, your host. He still has every Father's Day gift his kids made for him in school. Mark Dickhout.
Welcome to the show. Thank you so much for tuning in. In this week's episode, I'm going to talk about what you can do right now to help your business in this time of global crisis. I'm also going to share a very useful resource that you probably already have access to, but have been overlooking. Now, what have I been up to this week? Well, just like you, I've been hunkered down, working away, trying to keep my head above water with whatever's coming in. If you've been listening for a while, you know that there's a project that I've been working on, a dining guide for my local area that had been postponed, put on hold. Well, they reached out to me this week and said, okay, can we get things going on this? We're going to have to change a few things in it. We were supposed to have photographers go in and shoot photos in crowded restaurants and that. Well, we're not going to be able to do that. We're going to have to use past photos, stuff from the archives and that, but we'll get the project done. So nice to see that one on the go again. I've also had a few podcast cover artwork orders come in and a couple of websites that I'm working on right now. And another client just this morning reached out to me. They want to do some updates to their website while things are quiet. So things are looking not so bad. Now, in the Resourceful Designer community, we've started our Monday morning kickoff meetings, and our first one went really well. It was a good platform to help us establish kind of a baseline for what we want to do this week. We shared what sort of projects we're working on, what our goals were for the week, and it's just a nice way to keep in touch and look at other people. I mean, if we're stuck at home all the time and we're not interacting with people, having a weekly video chat where you actually get to see other people's faces is a great thing to do. Now, I would love to have you in the community. We just welcomed this week newest member, Jackie. So thank you, Jackie, for joining, and we would love to have you as a member as well. So if you're interested in joining the Resourceful Designer community, head on over to resourcefuldesigner.com/community. And now, this week's Resource of the Week. And this week's resource, I don't remember if I've shared this before. If not, I really should have. But it's your local library. Now, I know during these times, libraries, at least I know around here, the libraries are closed. During the coronavirus, COVID-19 pandemic, the libraries are closed. But that doesn't mean we don't have access. And the reason I wanted to share libraries as a resource of the week is that oftentimes they have services that they offer that you may not be aware of. There are many libraries that have access. They give you free access to places, learning centers, such as lynda.com that's run by LinkedIn. Lynda.com is a great resource for learning things. That's how I initially learned HTML, CSS, started learning PHP, never did finish that one. But I got into coding websites through courses I took on lynda.com. And although lynda.com is usually a paid platform, a lot of libraries offer it free of charge as part of your library membership. Some other libraries, I know my son, the library he belongs to, he has access to Skillshare through his library. So that's really the reason I wanted to share that as a resource. Chances are, wherever you are, whatever community, there is a local library. And whether you have a card or not, I don't know. But if you do, look at their website, see what sort of services they offer, and see if any of these platforms. You might be amazed at the stuff that you can get for free through your local library that you would normally pay for elsewhere. And that's not counting books, and not just physical books. I download audiobooks and ebooks all the time. My wife has a Kobo. It's an e-reader. It's a Kobo version that she has. And she is constantly downloading ebooks from the library. And I often will listen to audiobooks that I get through the library. So the library is so much more than just physical paper books. If you just look into them, go to their website, find out what services they offer, and who knows, maybe there's something there that you could benefit from that you didn't know about. So that's this week's Resource of the Week. And now, pivot your design business to survive. We're living in a strange, unprecedented time right now, and people are reacting and being affected in very different ways. And I wonder, is the isolation getting to you? I know that as a home-based designer, isolation is, well, it's part of daily life. We choose this lifestyle for ourselves. And the longer this pandemic is going on, the more of what I already knew is being confirmed. And that is that this lifestyle of working from home is not for everyone. It's evident now just looking online and looking at the way people are reacting. Some people are not made for this sort of lifestyle. The people who are being forced to work from home, a lot of them are not taking very well to being cooped up. Now, I'm also hoping that during this time, that some of you, those of you who are new to this way of working, this working from home, maybe you'll embrace this and it may help you decide that, hey, this is something you want to continue doing once life around you gets back to normal. This may be that little push that's required for you to say, you know what? I can do this. I could work from home and run my own business. Only time will tell, and only you can make that decision for yourself. But there is a difference between voluntarily working alone and being forced to work alone day in and day out. Now, in episode 105 of the Resourceful Designer podcast, I shared ways for you to cope with the isolation of working from home. Two of my suggestions in that episode for when you're feeling isolated were to get out, go be amongst other people, go to malls, go to parks, go anywhere there's a crowd. The other thing I shared was to become a part of a community by joining groups or clubs in your local area, places where you can go and interact with other people. Now, obviously, you can't do either of those things right now. And that's tough, even for someone like me who is used to staying at home. There have been weeks where I have not left the house, but that was voluntarily. I wasn't being forced. And that's why I'm saying these are unprecedented times. But like all things in life, this too shall pass. Now, I heard a really, really great quote today, and it said, in order to appreciate a beautiful sunrise, you first have to live through darkness. And I thought that quote so applies to the life we're living right now, the way the world is. Things will get better, but before they get better, you have to live through the darkness. So I'm encouraging you to stay strong, stay the course. You will get through this. But what about your design business? Will it make it through? Is your design business suffering right now because of the coronavirus? Are clients and projects drying up? It's actually kind of funny. In talking with several designers over the past week, I've seen both ends of the spectrum. Some designers are actually busier now than ever, while other designers are desperately seeking work. As you may or may not know, depending on how long you've been listening to Resourceful Designer, I've been running a home-based design business since 2005. And just over a year ago, I started I call it a side business, where it's still design, but I'm offering it as a service to the podcast space. So I niched down to focus on podcasters. Right now, my regular design business is actually suffering. My phone has stopped ringing altogether. Emails are very far and few between. But on the other side, my podcast branding business has actually seen a slight uptick. It seems that some people who are stuck at home and looking for a way to pass the time are deciding to start a podcast. So it all depends on what you do and who you service, on how your business is being affected. So that's my situation. But what about you? How are you going to weather this storm? And that's what I want to talk to you about today. How now may be a good time to pivot your design business to survive. Now, to understand what I mean by that statement, I first have to paint a picture for you of today's world. Almost everywhere around the globe right now, everything but essential services are shut down. And with so many non-essential businesses temporarily closed, it's no wonder that work is drying up for the majority of designers. And yes, many governments, including mine right here in Canada, are offering help and aid packages to businesses affected by COVID-19, a kind of handout to help them stay afloat. But the truth of the matter, and something that isn't very prominently mentioned on the news channels, is that some of those businesses will never reopen. Financially, this is the nail in the coffin for many small and medium business owners. They don't want to close, but some of them won't have a choice. They won't be able to weather this storm. Without money coming in, there's only so long that a business can hang on, no matter how much aid is being offered. Now, I know that I'm sounding really grim right now, but I assure you that there is actually a silver lining to what I'm telling you. Now, I want to take you back to 2008. That's when the last big recession hit. Now, of course, you can't really compare a business recession or an economic recession with a worldwide pandemic, but bear with me. I was running my design business back in 2008, and I remember when most businesses were suffering, except for designers. It seemed that during the recession, most designers I knew were actually very busy. My business actually boomed during the recession, and I had my best year to date. You remember I said I started in 2005? Every year, business has gotten better, but 2008 saw a huge jump in my earnings. Now, how can that be with a recession and so many businesses closing down? Well, you see, when a business shuts down, their employees immediately start looking for work elsewhere. But what happens when multiple businesses shut down, like in a recession or in a time like now where we're seeing all this thing shut down, there's inevitably going to be a bunch of businesses close. So when multiple businesses in the same industry shut down and there are not enough available jobs for the number of people now searching, what happens is a good number of those people then decide to start their own businesses. I saw this in 2008, especially in the trades field. I know a local electrical company, they shut down, and several of the electricians that worked there were not able to find work elsewhere, so they started their own electrical business. The same thing happened with plumbers. I know contractors and construction workers who decided to start their own home improvement business, or some of them became home inspectors. A lot of the tradespeople, when those things were shutting down, a lot of them started their own businesses. Other people who maybe were not in the trades, they also, when they lost their jobs during the recession, they decided to start businesses based on whatever hobbies or skills they had. And the thing is, all of these people needed help from a designer to get their business started. And I anticipate the same thing is going to happen soon for all of us. With the inevitability of businesses closing because of the pandemic and many of them not reopening, a lot of their staff will decide that instead of going to find another job elsewhere, they're going to start their own businesses, and they will be able to use your help. So why did I title this episode Pivot Your Design Business to Survive? It's because depending on how you run your business right now, you may have to pivot things in order to take advantage of this upcoming influx of new entrepreneurs. So how do you pivot? Well, one, forget about niching now. I know. I've talked about the importance of niching many times before. In fact, episodes 54, episodes 93, episode 174 were devoted entirely to the topic of finding a niche for your design business. But right now is not the time to focus your strategies down to a specific target niche. Now is the time to open your gates to any and all types of clients who can use your help. So if you do have a design business that is niche down, consider backing off a little bit for the time being. Now, the other way you may want to pivot is to focus locally. The potential new clients that I'm talking about, the people who have lost their jobs and have decided to start their own business. These are not seasoned entrepreneurs, meaning they probably don't know about the vast resources available to them online and abroad. Many of them don't know about Fiverr. They don't know about 99 Designs or whatever other place they can get design. What they do know is that they need help right now. And when someone needs help, the first place they look is close to home. Now, I normally encourage designers to broaden their market. In this day and age, it is so easy to have clients from around the globe. But during this crisis, during these times, you should be focusing all of your effort locally. Now, if you don't already have them, I suggest you create landing pages on your website to help you with local SEO and to attract these businesses. If you want to know more about landing pages, I did an entire episode on how to attract design clients with landing pages. That was episode 75 of the podcast. You can also try using targeted ads to a local area to attract clients. You can create Facebook, Google ads, Instagram ads, even LinkedIn ads, and target them to, a 20 kilometer or whatever, so many mile radius around your place to try to attract those local clients. Learn more about Google AdWords, go back and listen to episode 123 of the podcast where I talked about them. You can also up your social media game for local content. Start posting something. Use the hashtags that are being used locally and get your content seen. Episode 178 talked about using social media to promote your design business. You can follow the strategy that Andrea Jones shared in that episode. She was my guest. You can follow her strategies, but just focus on a local area as opposed to a more broad audience. And then there's things like join your local chamber of commerce if you haven't done so already. And there may be other local business groups you can join. Sure, you can't go in and meet people in person, but there's still other benefits to being in these groups, and the exposure that you can get, even if you don't meet people face to face, is still there just for being a member. And don't forget Google My Business. If you are not already set up, if you don't already have a profile for Google My Business, you definitely want to get that set up ASAP. Now, for more info on joining a Chamber of Commerce, listen to episode 141 on why you should join your Chamber of Commerce. A lot of great information there. And finally, contact your local business center and let them know that you are a designer, that you're available to help anyone who is now starting a new business, because your local business center will get an influx. Starting soon, when businesses start opening up again, your local business center will get an influx of people contacting them on how to start a business. So let the business center know that you are available for any new business that needs a designer. So do whatever it takes to get your name out there in your local market. And finally, the third way to pivot your business is to review your prices. I know, raise your prices, raise your prices, raise your prices. Myself and so many other people who talk in the design space are constantly encouraging you to raise your prices. And I normally agree with that statement 100%. I'm always saying that whatever you're currently charging for your design services, you're worth more than that. However, now's not a good time to raise your prices. In fact, and I can't believe I'm actually suggesting this, if your design business is suffering right now because of this pandemic, this may be the time to start offering discounted pricing. Now, yes, I did do an episode 113 of the podcast, which went over the pros, cons, and actually alternatives to discounting prices. Now, normally, I would actually discourage doing this because I believe that all a discount does is it lowers the value of the services you provide. If you normally charge $2,000 minimum for a website and you offer a discount for, say, $1,500, all that does is tell the client that really you can do a website for $1,500. $2,000 is not your minimum if you're willing to drop your price with a discount. So it devalues what you're doing. They no longer see your minimum website as a $2,000 value. However, these are not normal times. So I suggest maybe offering a discount to any client who is starting a new business. Now, an existing business that's coming to you because they want to do stuff, you can go business as normal with them. But anybody who contacts you that's starting a brand new business, there's nothing wrong with offering them a discount, and let them know it's a discount for a new business and that later on they will have to pay regular prices. Now, I'm also not a fan of packages. In fact, I'm usually really against packages, but maybe it could work for you. Maybe you can try something like offering a package for a logo, a business card design, and a brochure design, all at a discounted price if they buy them all together. It's a great way to make extra money and to offer a special price to your clients. Just do whatever it takes to get clients on board, because if it helps your business survive, it's worth doing. And then, once the world gets back to normal, your design business can get back to normal as well. And hopefully, back to normal with a bunch of new clients that you picked up during this crisis. So all of this to say that, yes, you will get through this. You may need to pivot your design business in order to weather this storm, but you will get through this. And if you're lucky, you may actually look back and say, 2020 was your best year to date. Remember what I said earlier, that quote I shared? In order to appreciate a beautiful sunrise, you first have to live through darkness. So that's what I wanted to talk to you about today. I also want to wish you good luck. Times are tough right now. Find people to talk to about it. If you can't afford the Resourceful Designer community right now, then join the Resourceful Designer Facebook group. It's free if you're not already there, and use these places to communicate with people. Open discussions. It'll help ease the feeling of isolation. Now, I would love to know what you're doing right now. Are you doing anything special to ensure that your business survives? Let me know. Leave a comment for this episode at resourcefuldesigner.com/episode 209. So that's it for this week. I want to remind you to check out your library's website. If you're not already a member, you might not be able to become a member right now unless they allow you to join online. But if you do have a library card, check out the website and see what sort of services. You might be surprised at what they offer as part of your membership. And of course, the Resourceful Designer community is there for you. We're all keeping very close tabs on each other, constantly communicating. There's messages going back and forth every day amongst all the members. As we keep each other alert, we keep each other informed, and we keep each other on our toes to make sure everything is going okay. Now, if you're looking for a mentorship group like that, then I suggest you visit resourcefuldesigner.com/community and join today. So thank you very much. I look forward to discussing more about your design business in next week's episode. Until then, I am Mark DeCote, wishing you all the best with your business, telling you to stay safe and to stay creative.
Thanks for listening to the Resourceful Designer Podcast at resourcefuldesigner.com.